yeah, welcome everybody. Thank you very much for joining us. And the lovely Jim, I don't really need to say anything. I'll let you ask questions, introduce yourself, and hand over the reins. I will mute everybody so that then, apart from Jim, because that wouldn't work, but I'll mute everybody, and then Jim, it's over to you. So let me do that. Just unmute Jim.
All right, so I guess I'll start. So I'm Jim Prussack. I'm a physiotherapist in the US, in San Diego, California. And I've been over and worked with Georgie a handful of times to one of the retreats back, I think it was 2016 or something like that. I can't remember when that was, Zoe, but back in the day. And it was planning on coming over this year. Probably would have met a lot of you guys until it got canceled. So maybe next year. Anyhow, so I am a PT or physio for 20 plus years, and I basically, treat pain and got into treating a lot more chronic pain, probably the last 5-10 years, I'd say, and did a lot of training, with Georgie and Howard Schubiner, Alan Gordon, Lorimer Mosley, David Butler, those guys in Australia. So a lot of different eclectic sort of approach, and try to blend all this together, including Dr. Sarno's, pioneering work as well. But one of the things we're going to talk about today was somatic tracking or somatic experiencing, some people call it, or just getting in your body to feel what's there, because pain is very somatic, isn't it? We actually feel it. It's a feeling in our body. So we can work with what we feel in the body in a very sort of somatic way, without going into words or thoughts. And so this is what this is about. It's another tool. It's another way to work with pain or physical symptoms in the body. And maybe the question I have for everybody before we go further is, how many of you are familiar or practice this or use it yourself or with your clients to some somatic work?
And Jim, would you like me to unmute people so they can tell you,
Sure.
or would you prefer it in chat? How would you like to do that?
No, you can unmute people just for a quick little recap.
Okay, I will unmute you all. It says I have to ask to unmute, so you're going to have to unmute yourselves. It won't let me unmute you all. So by all means, unmute yourself and let Jim know.
I haven't used it. Excuse me. Thanks.
Thanks, Fiona.
I'm just eating my dinner. That's why I've put my video off.
I've only trained this year, but I've been using it, and I'm always astounded at the effects how effective it can be. It's incredible every time. Like, wow, didn't expect that to happen. So excited to learn more.
I have the recording from you did it at the Serpa Summit, didn't you? The online Serpa Summit. So I use it personally myself and also with clients.
Yeah, similarly to me, I use it for myself, and whatever triggers me off, and then I try to do the somatic tracking, and I've used it with clients before. And again, it can be very effective. Some people don't quite get it, or I don't quite get it, but I think that's the same for everything, isn't it?
Yes, I use it. I'm an SEP, a trained somatic experiencing practitioner, so I use it quite a lot. But I'm always interested because sometimes it doesn't work. So I'm always interested to hear. Some people it's just too much to go into, so I'm always interested in seeing how other people work around, the difficulties with it as well. So good. I'm looking forward to having some tips.
And I think that's Everybody's muted themselves again. So back over to you, Jim.
Jim's muted.
I can mute you, Maeve. So whenever Jim's kind of talking, I've muted people just so that we don't get background noise from everybody.
But Jim's muted. Jim's muted.
Oh no!
Okay, I'm back. You got to listen to me again. I won't talk too much. We're going to do a lot of practice work here too. But yeah, so I'm not classically trained in somatic work, but I am a Vipassana meditation for many, many years. 10-day silent retreats. I've done like multiple ones. And so I really have a lot of just more, I guess, more experiential work with the body and being a physio, and also just with working with the sensations a lot. And that's sort of how I started with this work with a lot of clients, was more somatically, and then moved to some more of the work with Dr. Sarno and Georgie and journaling and other ways of working with emotions and thoughts and patterns and things like that. But with somatics, basically what I love about it is that you basically can use what's happening in the person as a portal to go into something deeper. So like you can ask them, what are you experiencing right now in your body? And if you have a symptom or a pain or health complaint, you can use that as a starting point for people. And we'll do that as a practice today. And what we'll do is we'll do a somatic tracking, which is just purely what you feel in your body. And then we'll do a second one, which is an emotional tracking, which is going to shift from what some sensory things you feel to maybe more emotions you feel. Okay, and that can be more challenging for people sometimes to say, well, what do you feel emotionally? And that's what we're really trying to do, isn't it? To move from this physical sensory part of symptoms to the emotional side of, let's say, pain. Explore that a little bit deeper. So that's sort of how I use it with people. And I agree with some of the comments that some people, it's really challenging for them to get in the body. It's very, very traumatic. They maybe are not used to that, or they don't like their body, or they've had things in the past that make them very uncomfortable, and it's too stimulating to them, or their body shuts down and they don't feel anything, or things aren't changing. So you can go very slowly. You can tighter your way in. You can have them start with just looking at, feel yourself sitting here in the chair. Like right now, if you're sitting where you are, just feel your body weight on the chair. Feel yourself in your space right here, just generally sitting. Okay, start with that awareness. And you're trying to build awareness basically in the brain, mindfulness, to use that part of your brain that can tap into what you're experiencing, but in a very neutral way, in a very open, sort of allowing sense or accepting way. It's acceptance, basically. And we're trying to work with acceptance of what's happening in your bodies, that it's okay. You can open to this experience, even though it's maybe unpleasant or it's very painful, either physically or emotionally, and that it's safe to do that. So you're trying to put the person into a safe place and make them feel comfortable and safe, and that they can be okay to do this. And that's part of when you're doing with people. When I talk to people, I try to coach them through that, to stay open to the experience. Sometimes when people are shutting down or they're not really quite open, what I typically see is a lot of times the sensations or the symptoms don't change much during the session. They tend to stay stuck, or they're not moving, or that you can see in the person's face they're really getting sort of like upset or frustrated, not relaxing into it. And so sometimes you're going to look for clues that the energy in them is sort of stuck. It's sort of fixated, or it's not moving. And the way Alan Gordon teaches this, and Howard Schubiner calls it pain reprocessing therapy. It's the same thing. And Alan Gordon calls it somatic tracking. That's the words they use. Basically, the classical way they teach it is to reduce fear. So the first step of this is to work with physical symptoms, sensations, to reduce fear around them, anxiety around what you feel in your body. Because as you know, when we feel some pain or something uncomfortable, we don't want to typically tune into it. We want to get away from it. And so there can be a lot of fear and anxiety around these symptoms, and just sitting with them can be very uncomfortable for people. So we're going to practice here in a moment, but you can use like going right to the symptoms, which we'll do. You can use a broad awareness, which I like to do, which is like you're aware of your entire body, okay? Not just the area where you have pain or symptom, because the other way that people can keep something stuck is they really hone right in on it. They really like zoom in their mind to, like, let's say it's your right hip, and they're just basically in their right hip. Like there's no, they don't know they have a whole other body part or body parts, right? So more of a broad awareness, like where you're aware of your entire space of yourself in this space. Okay. And I find for some reason, maybe energetically, that allows some spaciousness or some space within you for things to move. It's sort of like when you're having a pain issue and people are hypervigilant, they go right to the pain, right, in their minds, and they lock in, and there's nothing else. And then, as you know, where you put your awareness, things grow, pain gets stronger, it feels worse. So we're trying to have some awareness of that, but in a broad sense, without losing context of your entire body, because that allows things to shift and move and go other places. So let's try some of that first. Let's try some somatic tracking. And what we'll do is, I think we'll do the somatic tracking, and then we'll do emotional tracking. And after each one, I'm going to open it up again to any comments or what your experience might have been. If you feel free to share that so we can get some feedback, I think that'll be good. So we're just going to take a few minutes. Maybe we'll do about 5 minutes for each of these. We'll see how it goes. So just get comfortable where you are in your space. Everybody's sitting, which is good. And for this exercise, you can keep your eyes closed or open. You just want to make sure you're not falling asleep. If I see anybody who's knocking off here, I'll try to cue you back, or just open your eyes if you find yourself getting sleepy. And just aware, so getting comfortable where you are right now. And the first thing I want you to do is just notice yourself sitting where you are in your space. Just feel yourself, the weight of your body in the space where you're sitting in the chair. And just see if the first thing you can do is notice any physical tension in your body. Maybe some tightness, maybe areas where you're holding yourself up, holding yourself more with some tension, some tightness, stiffness. And just see if you can let your body sort of fall deeper into the chair, into the space you're sitting, so that you're just letting your body weight be fully supported by the chair. You're not holding anything up right now, and you're letting go of any tension you feel in your body. Anywhere in your body, from your head all the way down to your feet. And let's go now a level deeper from just your physical tension or tightness of your body to what do you feel in your body. Keep your awareness broad again, like your awareness of your entire body here. So you can be aware of your head, your neck, your shoulders, your chest, your whole body in a sense, a broad awareness all the way down to your feet. What's happening in your body right now? What do you feel sensation-wise? Do you feel anything at all in terms of symptoms, sensations, feelings? Anything you can feel internally as a feeling? Vibration, an aching, a pulsing, a numbing, whatever that is, just notice that in yourself. See if you can just be completely open to whatever that is. You're not trying to shut it down or label it. You're not trying to control it or shift it or make it go away. All you're doing is trying to stay very open to your experience right now. Accepting, allowing, embracing, whatever comes right now, just see if you can just let it happen in yourself freely. Notice if your mind wants to chime in with thoughts around this, whatever you feel. If that happens, no problem. Just let those thoughts go. Come back to your body. Notice what you're feeling internally. Notice if you're shutting down, if you find yourself resisting, not wanting to feel something, trying to change something. All you're trying to do is to allow whatever's occurring right now in you to occur freely without you interfering at all. You're just stepping back for a moment and being the observer of your experience. And when you can do this, you step out of yourself for a moment. You step out of these things happening in you, and you can be detached from them a little bit. There's a little bit of space between your mindfulness and what's occurring in you. And just notice if anything's shifting, anything's changing, anything's moving. These are typically good signs that you're open, you're allowing things to unfold. This is sort of an unfolding process in you right now. And so you're just gently letting this naturally unfold, these layers inside you to peel off. And whatever happens, happens. You don't have control. Your nervous system knows what to do. It knows how to unwind any tension you have, any pain, tightness, any emotions, feelings. All you have to do is trust in that process. Stay relaxed, stay calm, stay open. And just keep coming back to your body. What do you feel? What do you notice? There's no right or wrong answer. Whatever's happening for you is happening. And just stay in this space. You might feel not much. You might feel calm. You might feel stuff's going on. It just depends what's happening inside yourself. And just do another minute or so. Keep your awareness broad. What you're doing right now is you're actually building your capacity to hold awareness, self-awareness, and to tap into the mindfulness part of your brain. It's a part of your brain that can sort of be non-judgmental. And we know when you tap into this part of your brain, you're actually quieting down the emotional centers of your brain, settling the nervous system to move from sympathetic to parasympathetic. So you're just trying to build some awareness. And as you do that, you stay open to your experience. Again, the mind might come in with thoughts. You might get pulled away thinking about something else, going somewhere in your mind. That's fine. This is what the mind does. Don't judge that. Just let that go. Come back to the feeling sense. You're building a feeling sense in yourself, the ability to feel as well as think. Just check in again. Notice how you feel now after a few minutes of doing this practice of mindfully attending to the sensations in your body, to the feelings. Just see if there's anything that feels different from when we started this practice. And then take your awareness out again broadly back to your space. Notice yourself sitting there, the weight of your body on the chair. And when you feel ready, if your eyes are closed, you can gradually open your eyes, come back to the space, and just reorient to where you're at right now. Good. Good job, everybody. And then what we're going to do is just open it up for a little bit of anybody has any comments or on their experience. I would love to hear if anybody's willing to share a little bit.
So yeah, just feel free to unmute yourself and share if you wish to.
I quite like it in comparison to doing a mindfulness visualizational practice. I personally get much more out of that somatic approach than I do because I struggle sometimes with relaxing with things on my mind. If I do the visualization or something, I will seem to come through, but with this, the thoughts don't come through.
Were you able to stay with your body pretty well with the awareness of what was going on?
Yes, I was. Thank you. Yeah.
Great. Yeah, I find when you can do that, your mind shuts down. Thinking kind of goes down and feeling goes up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found at the beginning I had a sort of very strong sensation between my shoulder blades, of burning sort of thing, which hadn't been there before. But anyway, and that gradually dissolved and went away. And I noticed my breathing changed as well. And I wasn't really thinking about my breathing at all. So that was quite interesting. Yeah. And again, I agree that, yeah, didn't have to struggle against thoughts. It was just easier to focus. Yeah. Very good.
Oh, great. Anybody else?
What I always find is how much sensation is in our bodies that we're not aware of until we stop and think about it. You know.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing how much information we just ignore and just get on with, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I always tell people that this practice is, there's something you can do during the day as well, where as you get better at it, you're able to balance your mind and body, basically thinking and feeling sense, so that you're always in touch with what's happening in me. What am I feeling? Staying in touch with yourself versus just up here, like you said, Glenn, just thinking and getting on with the day.
Yeah.
Jim, I just wanted to ask, when you said, letting yourself go deeper into the support of the chair, is it important to be fully supported? Practicing personally, I've not, I sit upright and I sit on a cushion, but I just wondered, is it important to be fully supported?
I don't think so. I mean, you want to, although you want to be relaxed. It's sort of like if you have something somewhere in your body that's hurting and it's tension and you're noticing it and you're real tight and like stiff, it's hard for sometimes that to move, right? Because it's more, there's more tension in there. So as relaxed as you can be, but you can be sitting on like a meditation cushion and be sitting upright and be relaxed. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, with clients, because I often, if I'm teaching mindfulness, ask them, to move away from the back of the chair and sit relaxed, but upright. But actually, I think for this particularly, if people are struggling to get into it, actually taking up the support of the chair and letting go into the chair seemed to, might be.
Yeah. You can play with this. So the other thing too that brought to mind was if somebody's having trouble, let's say in a certain part of their body, and they're having a pain and it's not really moving, you can just cue them to say, okay, see if you can just relax that part of your body a little bit more. Notice if there's tension around that pain. Just soften that part of your body and then see what happens to those sensations. And sometimes that's enough to have that sensation start to change a little bit or shift or move.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else?
What do you do if if the patient gets a bit sleepy? I was a bit sleepy actually.
Yeah.
So you
Keep
get
your eyes open. You don't have to do it with your eyes closed. In fact, I encourage people to build the capacity to, like, as I'm talking to you now, I can tune into my body and be aware of it as I'm speaking to you. And so you're wanting to try to build this capacity that you can hold some awareness of yourself wherever you are. Even if it's like 25%, 5% of awareness of yourself. And that doing it with your eyes open, because a lot of times you're not in meditation. That's not the point, that this is just a meditation. It's wherever you go, you can check in with yourself. Yeah. Just open your eyes. I think you'll find that you will be better off that way.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. Well, hopefully that was good for you guys, like a little somatic and experiencing. And like you said,
can I just check in, Iralee? Did you want to say something? Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I pressed the wrong button. If someone's got a lot of pain and they're in a lot of intense pain, is it better to start off where they haven't got pain, or is it still advisable to go to where the pain is?
Yeah, I mean, I actually prefer there's something there because it's easier. Like I was thinking about with you guys, if you don't have anything going on, you might just feel like pretty relaxed. Well, what you can do with this, is, and this is just, this is a base, what we just did now was sort of a base practice, but you can use this practice for bringing in anything. So you can have the person, I'll bring in a memory, a thought about something that's happened to them in the past around something that might be related to their pain. And we do the same practice. Okay, what do you feel in your body? What's coming up? Because that will trigger something usually. And so you can bring that in. If you're starting out with pain and they have it in the moment, great. You can just go use that right away. But if there's not much happening, you might say, look, when you get your pain, you know, or think about a time when you have your pain, or you can go to an emotional thing like we're going to do next. You can say, think about your mom or your dad or your child or your spouse or something related to when this started, and have them visualize and think about that. Then immediately, a lot of times people get something in their body. It's pretty amazing. It's within less than a second. If it's a strong connection, and that also tells you that there's something there. So let's say they think about some event that occurred and immediately they're like, oh my God, I get a strong feeling in my chest, or my pain shot up. You know, if there's something there to look at, right? Because there's a memory that has a strong emotion attached to it, because otherwise they wouldn't get a response. If I said, just, can you think about, you know, eating breakfast yesterday? You might be like, unless you know, burned your mouth on some coffee or you spilled some beans or something, you know, you just think, But I said, if you think about a time when somebody was attacking you, either verbally, right, physically or emotionally coming after you, you might have some memory or some reaction in your body. Or think about a time when you were really scared, somebody scared you and you were afraid, or you were very anxious over something. It's pretty interesting. You know, I had a lady just yesterday and we were talking about something, and we were saying, well, we're trying to figure out some triggers for her. And she said, I don't think really my husband is much of a trigger, you know, anymore. He's better with his anger now, or he's doing better. And then immediately, as she was telling me this, that he's not a problem anymore, she's like, oh my God, I just got a shot of pain down my leg. I go, well, I guess there's something there still. Something to look at. You know, so the brain kind of knows immediately. And a lot of times you're working with memories, really, right? Because a lot of stuff's in the past for people, but there's a memory that has an associated emotion attached to it. And if it's strong enough, it'll elicit a physiological response in the body. So you can take this in any way you'd like. You can work with these symptoms and stay, okay, just somatically stay with what you feel. Let's just work with the physical symptoms. A lot of times they will shift for people, they'll move, and sometimes they'll immediately settle down and people say, oh my God, I don't feel it anymore. It doesn't mean they're 100% pain-free. Usually they have to continue with it. But you can take it a step further and say, we'll do this in a moment, emotionally, like, okay, you feel this in your body now, this symptom, this sensation. How does this make you feel emotionally? How does this make you feel? Do you feel afraid? Do you feel mad? Do you feel scared? Do you feel sad? What do you feel? Can you identify this feeling? And is it the same area or is it in a different area of your body? And you want to try to get them to connect with an actual physiological experience of the emotion, okay? Because this is part of the problem with people. Is one of the conditions is called alexithymia, which is this inability to feel and express emotional feelings. And it's a real issue for people. They just can't, they don't know what they're feeling. Or they can say, yeah, I'm angry, but they're like, well, how do you know you're angry in your body? I don't know, I don't really feel anything. Well, you're not really connecting with the anger, right? You know, or I'm sad. Okay, well, what tells you that you're sad other than you're using that word? So that's what's nice about somatics, is it goes beyond the language and the words. And even people will think their feelings or think their emotions, but they're not actually feeling them. So when they're in touch with the feeling, they'll say, yeah, I feel this in my chest. It's coming into my throat. I feel this behind my eyes, you know, maybe some sadness. So you can really, you know, you want to get people in touch with their bodies somatically, and then emotionally. The other thing you can look for is the words they use to describe their symptoms. So they might say, I say, well, how does this symptom feel to you? It feels, it's burning. It's a burning feeling. It's sort of irritating. It feels, it's aggravated. It's an aggravated feeling. Just those words that I share with you, what emotion is attached to those words? What do you think?
Anger.
Yeah, right. Anger. So people use the word, or they might say, it's really tingling. It's jittery feeling. It's like a pulsing kind of, like an uncomfortable, like want to get out of my skin feeling. Maybe a numbness feeling. Shaky. What emotion is that?
Anxiety.
Yeah, fear. Or they might say it's sort of like a real, like a dull, like kind of deep aching feeling. It's like an aching. It's like a, you think of like a heartache, it has that sort of ache, deeper feel to it. It's like a more of a sadness feeling. Okay, feeling of pushing down, a weighty sort of just there. It's just kind of sitting there. So people use words, like stabbing. That's anger, right? It's like a knife. And so you can kind of, I haven't done this, but I wanted to categorize the words, descriptions of pain, into emotions, which I think would be kind of interesting. And there's some overlap because you can use the word aching, and now that could be anger too. So there could be mixed emotions, of course, right? So it is interesting. So you can take them from the feeling of the sensation into the emotion, and then say, okay, this maybe is some anger. Okay, can you feel the anger anywhere else in your body? Maybe in your chest, where anger starts. Okay, because burning is anger, right? Burning feeling is pretty much anger. So let's go and do a little bit of emotional tracking now as a lead in there. And we will just see how that goes too. So just get back comfortable in your space again. You're just going to sit, eyes closed or eyes open, whatever you feel like doing. Let your bodies relax. Soften your bodies, let them become a little more open. I use the word wet noodle, kind of become more of a wet noodle. And again, just see what you're feeling. Your body. If you have any pain or you notice any pain, or if you don't, think about something that sort of is a painful issue for you, either physically or emotionally, something that maybe bothers you, either now, something you can think of in your life that is sort of present that you're having an issue with, a person, situation, an event, a life, something going on in your life. Just think of something right now and just see what you notice in your body as you think about something that bothers you or something that's on your mind, been on your mind, whatever it might be. See what reaction your body gives you when you think about this. Okay, or if you have a physical pain, stay with that. How does the situation that you're thinking about now, how does it make you feel emotionally? If you're being completely honest with yourself, completely open, no filtering, is there an emotion to this? Is there a feeling behind it? How does this make you feel? And can you feel something in your body, that some sensation, some feeling, something physiological that can correlate with an emotion? And if you do you know what emotion it might be? Can you put a word to it, label to it just in your mind? And if you do feel this emotion, can you just sit with it and open to the experience of this feeling, just like you did with the somatic feelings? And allow, accept, embrace, and let whatever's there shift through you, move through you. You can think about, again, if you want to just bring it up in your mind again, this event, person, place, anything that's stressful, that's something that bothers you. And again, see if it triggers something inside. And then go to the body. Just feel what's there. Stay open. See what happens with this energy that may have been created in you, this emotion or emotions. And see if you can let that work through you, openly, freely. You're not trying to do anything with it again. Just let the experience unfold. Allow it to happen. And just see what happens to that energy, that sensation, that feeling, if you open to it freely. See if it changes, shifts. It could move to a different feeling, different location, different intensity. All you're trying to do is to let what's happening happen. And maybe one more time, just revisit in your mind again the same thing that you were thinking about that may have something that's been bothering you or it's been stressful or irritable of late. See what happens again. See if there's the same response in your body, the same sensation, feeling, or it's different now, shifted. It's either a different feeling or more intense or less intense, different location. Just see what you notice as you keep opening to the feelings that could be arising in you. And just let them move through you for another 20 seconds. Stay with the body, stay open. Just allow whatever's there to be there. Okay, great. We're just going to come back again like we did before, gradually. Just feel yourself in your space. Come back to the room, open your eyes if they were closed. And just come back to where we are. Good job, everybody. And we'll do the same thing. We'll just open it up and maybe people can share the experience. If you don't want to share what it is that you thought about, that's perfectly fine. Maybe just share what you felt was happening inside yourself.
I felt it's a burning sensation in my stomach, plus sort of burning and pins and needles feeling in my toes, and I felt angry.
Yeah, I was going to say, okay, you feel
Yeah.
angry.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Did the energy shift at all as you opened to it, or did it stay in the same places or move? Or
when I revisited it a few times, it was still there, but it wasn't so strong.
Okay, so diminished somewhat.
Yeah, yeah.
Great.
So that was good. Interesting, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt the instant that I thought back to this event, I got an immediate numbness and tingling all the way down from my glute, all the way down the back of my leg and into my left foot.
Interesting.
That wasn't there before at all.
Yeah, see how that memory is attached to like a repressed emotion or feeling. There's something there, right? That's
yeah. I have that symptom a lot, but before I started doing this course, I've always put it down to my bulging discs, but now I know different.
Yeah. What did it do in that short time? We only did a few minutes. Did it move or shift or change during that time?
It became a less intense. It was still there, and it was more, I would say, rather than being able to just run a line straight down it all became a lot more diffuse.
Great. So it changed a little bit for you.
Yeah, it did, yeah.
Great. So you actually shifted some of that energy around that. And which is neat because a lot of times when people do this, they literally can shift the memory. As you feel the feeling there openly, freely, it's like a form of acceptance of what this is. You're changing the memory, and sometimes as you do this, people think about it again. They don't get the same response anymore. It means their memory's actually shifted.
Okay.
It's kind of interesting.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else have anything?
I had a little bit of tension at the back of my head and in the base of my neck, but it was only mild. But then I also noticed my chest was sort of rising, and at the same time when I brought my attention to it. And by the third time we went back in, I definitely wasn't getting the chest reaction anymore. And it was only mild to start with, but it was pretty much insignificant by the third sort of rerun, if you see what I mean. Yeah. So it wasn't
Yeah.
very dramatic, but there's definitely, I felt myself breathing differently.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. The whole purpose of this is to learn to open yourselves to things that might be uncomfortable, really, and to notice what happens in the body, because a lot of times we disconnect from the body and we're up in our mind thinking about it when there's a whole bunch of stuff going on in the body. And there's a book, The Body Doesn't Lie. They wrote a book about that. There's a saying, your body is your subconscious mind. So there's a lot happening in here, and it's just a matter of tuning in and opening to what's there. If we can hold the space for this, as we saw with a couple people sharing, it started to change a little bit, that energy. Whereas normally we might want to react or shut it down or resist what's going on in the body.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Sure. So, if you've got a long-standing pain pattern, do you find that it can be triggered off by different memories, or does it tend to be the same one?
That's a good question.
Or different emotions, not memories, or thoughts,
Yeah, it can be different emotions. Yeah, mixed feelings. I mean, I think it's pretty common, and sometimes it changes. So, like, somebody might be feeling anger, and then all of a sudden it's moved into some sadness or something like that, or guilt. So, I mean, I think typically the pattern is like I've seen it work a little bit this way, not always, but like ICE-DDP is a one model. They kind of talk about this pattern where you can start from anxiety and fear. And as you go past that, you might get into some anger, frustration, irritation. And then you might get into the sadness, guilt sort of feeling. And then it might clear out. But it doesn't always mean it's going to do that.
But in terms of the symptoms, so what I felt there was scapular pain, and I've had that on and off for decades, literally. But obviously different triggers than the trigger that I imagine this time, which is a recent event.
Okay. How does it make you feel? Let's go first to the symptom. How does the symptom make you feel emotionally?
I think it's a heaviness, it's an ache, it's I feel very drained about that.
Maybe sadness.
Yeah, so, and that's the pattern I've seen with that before.
Okay.
When working on things that are sad for me, that aren't working, or I think about the future or worries about the future that involve sadness, that comes up for me.
Yeah, and then the most recent trigger, like you said, it's come back again. Is it around some sadness, do you think?
It's around a loss and loss of identity.
Okay. Yeah. So it sounds like there would be some sadness there.
Yeah.
Grief. Yeah. Okay, great. That's great connection. So you maybe want to connect that to sometimes just somatically feeling the symptom will help it go away. Sometimes I find people have to connect to the emotion to make it go away or get better results. So like to go into the sadness and feel just sadness and grief, to feel what that feels like. And stay open to that as long as you need to. It might take some time, might take days, weeks. I mean, you don't know. But the more you stay open to it, the more, like some other people shared already, that it kind of started to go down a little bit, like a slight fade, because you're opening to it. You're feeling your feelings, basically, your true feelings.
Yeah, but it's an interesting thought that I can get that sensation and then start to look for the emotion, because that's a recurrent theme. I've had that before. So that's an interesting thought, isn't it?
Yeah.
Your body's saying, okay, you need to think about this and work on this a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great portal. Pain is a great portal because it's right there. You're like, all right, you got pain. Okay, let's see what's there. What does this mean to you? Right. And then you can go explore from that point forward. So that's good. Great.
Nicely. Yeah, I had a different sensation this time. It was a tightness in my throat. And that felt like sadness.
Yeah.
So that was a thought about someone that, is very sad. And that brought on this tightness in the throat. So,
Okay.
So going back to the first exercise we did, I got a pain, or I got a burning sensation between my shoulder blades. Now that's going straight to a physical feeling. I'm not quite sure what my question is actually.
Well, so
why am I getting kind of different symptoms?
Yeah.
Sensations. What's going on?
Yeah. So I mean, it's different thoughts. So this is what's
Right.
also you people in. So you can have one thought literally can turn on a whole bunch of stuff in your body within a second, less than a second.
Okay.
Crazy. Like I had a patient years ago before I knew anything about this work, and I was like, I didn't understand it, but she had a vestibular issue, a lot of dizziness, and I was doing physiotherapy with her, like traditional physiotherapy. And I was finished my work, I was writing my note, and she was sitting just like you guys, and all of a sudden she goes, "Oh, God, I just got a wave of dizziness." And I go, "Wait a second, you weren't turning your head, you weren't standing up and down." I said, "What were you just thinking about?" Curious. And she goes, "Oh, I'm getting divorced, and I was just thinking about trying to sell my house." And within an instant, that turned on that symptom for her. So one thought, you had a different maybe experience, and you had a thought about something else, which triggered a different feeling. If I asked you to think about a pet of yours or something you really loved or love to do, you might get a different feeling in your body. So it can change on a dime. I mean, we all have these memories that are attached to different feelings, or thoughts are attached to different feelings. But I would say for you, Carolyn, so this in your throat, like if you're open to it right now, if you think again about this person, and do you feel that in your throat still?
Okay. But yeah, I'm wondering if it's there most of the time actually at the moment. So yeah.
You do. Can you just relax your throat there and just see if you can let that energy right now, just see if it can move. Let it move, whatever it wants to do in your throat. You're not going to close it down there anymore. You just want to allow that to move through you in whatever way it wants. And just see what you notice. What do you feel? Just let me know. What do you feel in the throat? Is it changing? Is it staying the same? Feel it somewhere else?
Oh, my breathing's changing.
Yeah. Does it make you feel sad? Is it the feeling you have?
Kind of sighing feeling. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Let it come up. All emotions want to come up the body mostly and out the mouth. But sadness is out the eyes, right? Crying.
Mm-hmm.
Anger wants to yell or shout, or goes down the arms into making a fist. It wants to fight. So a lot of those two emotions come up the body: sadness, and anger. Anxiety is like in the belly and this chest, and it could be throughout the body, a shaky feeling, right? So let it come up. Let yourself, if you feel sad, just let yourself feel it. It's amazing to teach yourself to stay open. What's happening?
Really lumpy feeling.
Yeah. Probably in your own space, you'd want to maybe cry, right? Or, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah. Just stay open. So that you just opening to that, if you keep opening to this, it will move out of your throat. I had a lady just the other day too. She had similar thing was coming up, and in the session she started coughing, and she almost was throwing up. She was like, it was like wanting to come out of her, but it was stuck in her throat. It's really interesting. The energy wanted to come up, so we just want to keep even gently, gradually coaxing it to keep coming. Anybody else? Thank
Yes. So I was coughing too. I'm at the end of a cold, and I don't cough that often, but I certainly did. I did start coughing. So that's wanting to bring things up. Is that right?
Yeah, in a sense. Did you notice anything that wanted to come up? Were you feeling anything?
I was feeling, yeah.
You know what?
Sorry, go on.
Do you know what you were feeling, what it was? Did you have a sense of the feeling or the emotion?
Yeah. Yeah. Confusion and a bit of despair and frustration.
Okay, so sadness and a bit of anger mixed. And you felt it mainly, where did you feel it? It was coughing, but where did you feel it? Was it in your throat too, or was it in your chest, or where did you notice it?
No, my lower thoracic spine, back there. And I keep thinking it's the chair, which we all do that. Always blame the chair.
How do you describe the feeling in your thoracic spine? Like, what words do you use to describe it?
My personal thoracic spine.
Yeah.
Unyielding, actually.
Okay. Anything else that comes to mind?
Stiff, yeah, unyielding, yeah. Doesn't want to move, won't accept the chair.
Yeah, so it's stuck. It's stuck there, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And how does it make you feel that it's unyielding and stiff and that it's stuck there?
Annoyed.
Okay, annoyed. Okay, can you feel that somewhere? Can you feel that somewhere in you, that feeling of being annoyed?
Somewhere new.
Can you have that feeling in you? Can you feel the feeling of being annoyed in you? What that feels like to be annoyed?
Yeah, it makes me angry.
Yeah, and how do you know you're angry? Can you feel that in you somewhere, that you're angry?
I'm feeling quite hot now.
Okay, good. So now you're feeling the emotion. Anger is hot, right? So that's that's the correct expression. Let that come. Let that move through you now. That's good. Let the anger come and rise through you. It wants to rise up. And this is a nice way for you to come back to the emotion behind this physical pain. Come back to the frustration, the anger, and feel that if you can, instead of the physical pain. Yeah. It's hard because we're with TMS people and PPD, it goes back into the physical so easily. We get disconnected from the emotional real fast.
Yeah.
And then immediately, like I have people that are doing this and they're feeling the emotion. Then like in a second, it's like, oh, this pain, the pain's worse. It's like gone back into the physical pathway again. Doesn't want to be felt emotionally.
That's exactly what happened just then. I felt the chair again.
Yeah. So this is the training, I think, for a lot of us, like even for me, I had to, okay, how am I feeling emotionally? How does this make me feel? And at first, sometimes you don't know. You're like, well, and then you have to keep coaxing yourself to keep asking questions like I did to you. You said it's unyielding, but you weren't giving me the emotion yet until I said, how does it make you feel that this is unyielding, this is stiff, this is not going away? Well, I'm frustrated. Okay, now we're getting a little deeper. And then you felt the frustration as the real feeling is hot coming up.
Yeah.
Is it still in your throat, or does it feel different now, or is it?
I never felt anything in my throat.
Okay.
It was Carolyn.
Yeah.
That was right. I just coughed. I just kept on coughing.
Okay. It's not unusual to see these things with clients. They'll cough, they'll start yawning, they'll start having these defense mechanisms or ways to trying to come up, but it doesn't want to come up. Yeah.
Can I share something with the group that Carolyn triggered off in me? That when I heard that my dad had died, it felt literally like someone was strangling me, and I couldn't express it. And it was so painful that just fits in perfectly with that idea of loss, doesn't it?
Yeah. 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 It's like to let it come up. It's hard. We're not trained to do that. We're holding it in, like if it was a free society and we didn't learn as children to, like, our parents didn't tell us, you better not get angry, stop crying. I mean, if we were still little kids, we'd be ranting and raving all day long.
Yeah.
We carry on, we'd cry, we'd be mad. And then we wouldn't have all this stuff like wanting to come up, but it's like we just hold it down, at some level. So this whole work is about opening up And sometimes you got to move slowly because it's not easy for people to open up to their feelings, right? If you can, like if something wants to come, and I also find this to be true, if it's feeling stuck, sometimes you need to get it moving so you can have them. One of the things is not really, I guess it's somatic work, is to get them to emote the emotion a little bit. So like, let's say it's in the throat and they're trying to open to it, and it's like, it's there, and it's not moving. They know what it might be. Let's say it's sadness. Okay. And they feel like they can't cry. It's just not coming. So can you emote the expression of crying? Like if I asked you, what's the expression of crying? What's the facial expression of crying or being sad? Can you guys make it for me? Can anybody? Yeah, what's the breath of sadness? They may know what the breath is like when you release sadness. Think about when you're crying. What kind of breath comes out of you?
It's staccato. It's sort
yeah. So like if I was to emote it, it's like this. Where you can actually, and I do this a lot even for myself, I will emote the emotion I'm feeling. Like if I feel it behind my eyes sometimes with sadness, but I might be in a place where I can't really cry, you know, I'm like out somewhere, I don't want to have crying eyes, you know. So, but you can emote the sadness through your breath and facial expression. And we know in the science that has some form of release or expression. And then you can do that 3 or 5 times a breath, like, and then come back and feel again. A lot of times people say, oh, it feels like it moved, or it's not there anymore. Okay, good. Or you can do an anger breath, you know, which is a bit stronger. Like if you were to make the facial expression of anger, what would that be versus sadness? Yeah. So like, you know, like you can make fists and just a couple, you don't want to overdo it, but you can do a couple out breaths of anger, like, or even lower level, like a low level, I call it like a Darth Vader breath, you know, Star Wars. That's actually a yoga breath too. You know that Darth Vader breath is a yogic breath. So it can be very therapeutic to say, I feel like it's burning here, it's stuck here. Because with anger, physiologically, what does it want to do when it comes out? It wants to scream, shout, yell. And so you can do a version of a silent scream if it's stuck. Now, I only do these things if it feels like it's stuck, because you want to get it moving, okay? And you don't want to do too much of it because it can over-exaggerate the feeling. But I think for some people, I've been playing with it, and it's more of a new thing I've been trying. It's helpful because some people, it's really stuck. And they have a hard time getting that energy moving in them. Any questions? Nobody has anything? I mean, hopefully this helped you guys a little bit, just for some somatic stuff. Yeah, that you can play with it.
Is it supposed? So is it like mindfulness activating the medial prefrontal cortex to try and communicate with the subconscious? Is that the mechanism they think?
Yeah, they think when you activate mindfulness is the prefrontal cortex, a few other areas, and they show your amygdala, limbic system quiets down. So that's the thought, and it's a form of just, you know, we're in this open space of acceptance. So it's like you might get your emotional brain firing off, but instead of you reacting to it from your cortex by sending a signal back to amplify it, you're staying mostly calm. And so it's like firing off, but it just like goes into, there's no reaction. So eventually it settles down. Yeah. And the other thing too about that is they did some studies showing that when people are very emotional, their prefrontal cortex goes offline. They're not rational anymore. You know, when you're just in the emotion, blind rage, hysterically crying, or whatever. You're caught in it. So, or you're having a panic attack. So when you can build this mindfulness, you're keeping that cortex online, so you can stay open to what's happening.
Well, that brings us to time, actually. So so that worked really well in terms of the time that people have got, and obviously just being mindful of people's evenings. So thank you very much, Jim. That was absolutely brilliant, and lots of nods from people that agree. So thank you for your time, and thank you for everything. That was absolutely wonderful. And thank you, all of you, for coming along and joining in and taking part. Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming on, everybody. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Jim. That was
Everybody,
fantastic. Yeah.
Okay, good stuff. We'll talk to you guys later. Take care.
Take care.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye now. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.